Hi, Terry Franks here. Welcome back to my channel, Prescott Voice. Please don't forget to hit those subscribe, like, and share buttons. I would so much appreciate it. So what was Deborah like? The Deborah of the Bible. She is one of my favorite personalities in the entire Bible. She lived approximately from 1200 to 1124 BC. So that was a long time ago. Love it that she was a fighter. Also a godly woman. She was a judge. She lived during the period of judges in the land of Israel. So she would sit under a palm tree and judge the people. They would come to her with problems and issues. So she spent about 40 years judging Israel. She was a tough woman. She listened to God. She did not go her own way. And I respect that so much. What she did was amazing. Let's read a little bit about the story first. Let's start in chapter 4. The Israelites again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord turned them over to King Jabin of Hazor, a Canaanite king. Now the commander of that army was Sisera. Sisera, who had 900 iron chariots, ruthlessly oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. Now, does that sound familiar to you regarding what's going on right now in Israel? It sure does to me. Then the people of Israel cried out to the Lord for help. One day she sent for Barak, son of Abinoam, who lived in Kadesh, in the land of Naphtali. She said to him, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, commands you. Call out 10,000 warriors from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun at Mount Tabor, and I will call out Sisera, commander of Jabin's army, along with his chariots and warriors, to the Kishon River. There I will give you victory over him." Now this is a God talking. This is Deborah telling Barak what the Lord is saying. It's not Deborah speaking, but it is the Lord giving her the message to give to Barak. So what does Barak say? "I will go, but only if you'll go with me." So right away, we've got Barak saying, okay, that's great that God is ordering and commanding me to do this. But, my knees are kind of knocking together and I'm kind of afraid and I'm not going to go unless you go with me, Deborah. I find that amazing. She replied in verse 9 to this whining by Barak. "Very well," she replied. "I will go with you." And I love this next line. "But you will receive no honor in this venture, for the Lord's victory over Sisera will be in the hands of a woman." I love that, don't you? So Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. At Kadesh, Barak called together the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 warriors went up with him. Deborah also went with him because he wouldn't go without her. Where are the females today that stand strong in the Lord and just say, hey, okay, you need me to go? I'm going to go. You can't do it? I'll do it then. Skipping down to verse 12 now. When Sisera was told that Barak had gone up to Mount Tabor, he called for 900 of his iron chariots and all of his warriors, and they marched from Harosheth Hagoyim to the Kishon River. Then Deborah said to Barak, "Get ready." And that's with an exclamation mark. She must have shouted that. "This is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you." So Barak led his 10,000 warriors down the slopes of Mount Tabor into battle. When Barak attacked, the Lord threw Sisera and all his chariots and warriors into a panic. Sisera leaped down from his chariot and escaped on foot. Then Barak chased the chariots and the enemy all the way to Harosheth Hagoyim. So you've got Sisera running home with his tail between his legs, because God is doing exactly what God's going to do with Israel in this very day and time. God's eye is always on Israel and the enemies that surround it. Barak chased the chariots and the enemy army all the way to Harosheth Hagoyim, killing all of Sisera's warriors. Not a single one was left alive. Meanwhile, Sisera ran to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, because Heber's family was on friendly terms with King Jabin of Hazor. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Come into my tent, sir. Come in. Don't be afraid." So he went into her tent and she covered him with a blanket. "Please give me some water," he said. "I'm thirsty." So she gave him some milk from a leather bag and covered him again. "Stand at the door of the tent," he told her. "If anybody comes and asks if there's anyone here, say no." But when Sisera fell asleep from exhaustion, Jael quietly crept up to him with a hammer and tent peg in her hand. Then she drove the tent peg through his temple and into the ground, so he died. When Barak came looking for Sisera, Jael went out to meet him. She said, "Come, I will show you the man you are looking for." So he followed her into the tent and found Sisera lying there dead, with a tent peg through his temple. So on that day, Israel saw God defeat Jabin, the Canaanite king. And from that time on, Israel became stronger and stronger against King Jabin until they finally destroyed him as well. So you see, God, when he makes a command and when he decides that he's going to give an enemy into your hand, he means it. I think this is just a brilliant way of showing how God is so tender to women, how he really appreciates the strength of women right along with men. And there's going to come a day I will be with the Lord forever, and I will be able to sit down and speak with Deborah. I'll be able to talk with Jael. And it's exciting to think about these things because it's not only them. I'm going to be able to talk to all the people that are with the Lord now, which are innumerable. I'll be able to sit and talk with them for eternity. Have you thought about that? Has anybody thought about that recently? How wonderful it's going to be in the kingdom of heaven and what God has planned for us. Jesus said he goes to prepare a place for us. Many here today in this world, on this earth, cannot even find a home to live in. But God, Jesus, is there in heaven preparing a place for each and every one of us. These are riches that are beyond the capacity that we have to even imagine. The Apostle Paul said, "Eye has not seen, and ear has not heard all the things that God has planned for those who love him." I would love to bring to life more of these personalities in the Bible, more of these individuals, and I don't want to call them characters because they're not. They were real people that lived a very long time ago. But in God's plan, it was just yesterday that she was here. What do you think about Deborah? Have you ever read her story in the book of Judges? It is just a great message about how God delivers his people from the enemies that surround them. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.